Welcome to the Divine Style Podcast with Gerlinda, Stella, personal stylist and self-love coach, and Alison, Maiden, psychic medium, spiritual healer and metaphysical teacher. Each episode you'll experience spiritual lessons to cultivate self-love and self-expression so you can become the best version of you.
Hi, I'm Gerlinda.
And I'm Alison.
Today we are talking all about the ascension, and I know this word has been thrown around for the past few years. And I mean, what is ascension?
Well, it means moving up. The actual word.
The dictionary.
Ascension, yeah. So, and it basically means that as a human race or as a collective, we are able to see things from a higher level, which is going to then open things up for peace in the world, for medical breakthroughs, for truth to be told, so that we can actually ascend to a higher way of living.
And so this is really about vibrational energy as well, as much as anything.
Absolutely.
I know for myself recently, and I love whenever we do these podcasts, you walk in and you say, "How are you?" And I'm like, "I've been crying. I don't know why." Every time I blame my hormones. And today you said, "No, it's not your hormones." So I'm like, what if it's my husband or my children? No, it's not them either.
It's just the planets. And so in that whole concept of ascending, it is that we can't just wave the magic wand and make everything okay overnight. And wouldn't that be great if we could?
Oh, snap our fingers.
And not have to go through that process of healing and realization and understanding and integrating the shadow and all of those things. But this is basically what's happening to us right now. And it is intense, and it has been intense for the last couple of years, but it's been slowly building to this for a long time. And you'd probably find that, I mean, I've been teaching about this for 20 years, so I knew about this a long time ago. And over the years, I've noticed how more and more people are coming in and going, "Hey, I'm just realizing things that I've never seen before, and I can't believe I've never seen it in this way before." It's like their whole concept of life and how it's lived has changed. And that is an awakening, or what we call the awakening, but it's part of the ascension process.
And this is those epiphanies or light bulb moments where things are really switching on for people.
And the 11:11. So everyone talks about the 11:11. Now, that's been showing up for years and years as well. But you know what that is? It's an activation code. It's actually in your DNA. So this is going to start getting right into the whole conspiracy theory stuff. But just bear with me. So basically, in your DNA, we have triggers that are going to be at some point in your life, set off. And when you start seeing 11:11 all the time, when you've probably never noticed it before, I mean, obviously at some point it's been on your phone or your clock or whatever, but then all of a sudden, every time you look at the time, it says 11:11. It sort of freaks you out because all of a sudden this number's showing up everywhere, okay? And that means that you're ready. You're ready to actually switch on.
Amazing. I've seen people with tattoos of this as well. So it can show up in different ways as well, or on T-shirts, and it is a number that people really resonate with. What does 11:11 stand for along with the ascension?
Well, basically it's the gateway, okay? So there's going to be gateways between worlds always, and we know this because we know that there's different dimensions. We've talked about this before. But where we're moving from, so we're moving from the third dimension here, and we're moving up through, because fourth is basically the time and space aspect. So it wraps around us, giving us or creating an illusion of linear time, of having that, a certain amount of time to be able to learn your lessons in. And we're moving past that into a greater consciousness of knowing that there's so much more out there, that the universe is a living, breathing entity, that we have a lot of other types of humanoids and other types of beings that live in this universe with us, that's been hidden from us in our little bubble of third dimensional reality. So when we move past that into the fifth dimension, we're going to be able to awaken to all of these amazing things, and you're going to be able to see these things because it'll be factual, it'll be in front of you, it'll be actually tangible, whereas before it's been hidden.
I guess one thing that I always think about, though, is that not everybody seems to be on this journey of ascension or even spirituality, if we want to take it down that path. So what happens to people that I guess are maybe blinded to it or closed off to it? Are they forced into this as well, or will we tend to split as a race?
Well, it's a really interesting concept, and there's been lots of speculation on this one. Some people believe that the third dimensional people will remain in the third dimension and keep going through their cycles of learning through pain and suffering, unfortunately, because that's the karmic kind of stuff that we have to go through. And then the people that ascend to the fifth dimension, they will be in literally the same space, but just on a higher level of vibration. So they won't really be doing a lot together. I suppose it's like when someone moves away to a different country. You know, you don't see them, you know they're there, and you can occasionally kind of talk to them, but you don't have a lot to do with them. So I think it's probably going to be more like that for the best part of it. And then finally, when the ascension actually happens, when we move from the third to the fifth, a lot of those people that are not ready to go, then perhaps they will move to a different plane of reality.
Amazing. This is really fascinating stuff, isn't it, to think of? So in the fifth dimension, if that's where we're moving, you spoke about the fact that in the past you've said to me that this is sort of a place where it's peace, there's no wars, there's no fighting. We can easier and better communicate with loved ones on the other side. And I'm hearing this more and more from people as well, that they're saying when we talk about mediumship and how we can talk to our loved ones, people are actually more open to the signs that they're receiving from spirit, from the spirit world.
Look, absolutely. And what I'm finding is absolutely fascinating is as we are moving through these energies, is that people that before have never experienced any kind of psychic phenomenon at all are suddenly experiencing it. And it's spontaneous. It's not like they've done any study, they haven't been attuned to Reiki, they haven't done any of those other things that people have done. And it's just happening automatically. And it will come down to a point where everyone has got the opportunity to ascend just by opening themselves up to the possibilities. And the energy that is being emitted by the great central sun in our universe, it's not our local sun, is pulsing through magnetic fields, and some of us are suffering, me being one, under these magnetic changes. And the magnetic changes that are fluctuating, you will notice the Schumann Resonance. If anyone wants to look this up, they can. There are many different sites, especially on Facebook. There's quite a few really good ones on Facebook. But the Schumann Resonance is resonating normally at 7.82. That's the normal resonance for the planet. At the moment, we've gone through the roof. We're like 600 or more. Now, that's unheard of in any other time frame in our history where Schumann's actually been registered, because there's machines that register these frequencies. So when we're looking at these things peaking the way they have, it must mean that there's a change. It must mean something universally is actually happening. And NASA have actually even come out and said that all the planets are heating up, not just Earth, but all the planets in our particular galaxy that they can reach or they can see are heating up. Now, that means something. Obviously, universally, there's a big shift. So that means all the planets are shifting. Everybody's shifting. The whole universe is actually shifting.
So it's not just perimenopause or menopause where I'm feeling heat.
No, but apparently the symptoms are quite similar.
Hot flushes,
joint pain, yeah, the whole lot.
Emotions,
yeah.
Oh, that's so funny. I will put a link to the Schumann Resonance page too, because it is fascinating to watch over time how this all works.
Oh, look, it's been sitting back and watching this for me has been just phenomenal. I can see so much is changing in such a short period of time, where there's been years of like slight changes and slow progress. Now it's like bottlenecked. It's like everybody wants the answers yesterday. Everyone's after, that there's the researching. They're doing their own research, which I think is absolutely necessary. You've got to come to your own conclusions about this stuff. It's great hearing it from people like myself and other teachers around the place, but you've got to start experiencing it for yourself, that you know that it's actually happening and you know it's true. I think a lot of it too is as we get closer to the fifth, we're actually getting closer to the sixth dimension where the spirit world does reside. So you are going to start getting a lot more spirit contact, and you will actually also move through the fourth, which we are at the moment. So you're actually getting a lot more ghost contact and lost spirits, and that's increased. Our workload's increased dramatically. Poor old James is working full-time as a Ghostbuster right now. So, yeah, I mean, those types of things are happening to a lot of people, and even people that don't believe
This
are
is
saying
so
to us,
true.
there is stuff going on and I can't even work it out.
I heard someone the other day and they said that something's been waking them up at nighttime, and they said, oh, but I'm not afraid of it. And I said, but it still probably isn't necessarily meant to be there. So it's good to make sure that you're doing all the protection things that we've spoken about in previous episodes as well, around, you know, that psychic protection and calling in people if you need to, if you are having visits, because the idea is that ghosts aren't necessarily meant to be hanging around here. They're meant to have crossed over.
Correct. Yeah, they're definitely not meant to be hanging around here. But the thing is that, you know, if you're scared of these things, then they're going to actually enjoy that energy because they do tend to feed off of energy. So negative or positive, they'll feed off of that, and they'll want to stick around. So, you know, if they're coming in and scaring you at night, then they're having a great time. So they need to be moved from where they are. Doing that for sure.
And we spoke about with this resonance that's happening at the moment as well, in terms of the awakening and the ascension, that there's a lot of stuff coming up for people in terms of truth and being able to speak up and use their voice. And we see it a lot on social media. People are, you know, often giving their opinions about things, but often I find that the greatest truths are the ones that go left unsaid. And we often keep the things in that we should be speaking up about.
Yeah, not at the moment. So if you're feeling very frustrated right now and you're struggling a little bit, let me tell you, there's a reason for it, okay? So Saturn is actually restricting and Uranus is wanting to break free. And these are the two planets that are in opposition at the moment. And so when I say at the moment, this happened a few days ago, what we can expect while this is going on is that you're going to be feeling quite uncomfortable in this energy because it's a conflict. It's like opposition. One minute you'll be feeling fine and thinking, yeah, my life's really good, I'm just going to continue on this path and I'm going really good. And then you'll have all this doubt come in and think, oh my God, no, this is wrong. Maybe I should be doing something else, you know. And so there's going to be this conflict of feeling and emotion, which is going to unsettle you. It's going to make you feel really insecure. It's going to make you feel like maybe you're going a bit nuts because, you know, you thought you were okay and now you're not. But what's happening is you've been burying all of the unhappiness. And how can I put this gently? I really can't. I think I'm just going to have to blurt it out, right? So many people are living a lie. So many people are saying to themselves, it's all fine. I can put up with this. I can do this. He'll change. She'll change. Everything will be fine. I really don't like studying, but it's okay because at the end of it, I'm going to be fine. All of those things that you keep telling yourself is going to be fine, at the moment won't feel fine.
Yes, and this is where truth-telling, because really a lot of us, it's that lying to ourselves,
correct,
not even to other people, because I've done this so many times in my life. I've said, it's fine, it's fine. I mean, I know I've spoken about even my first marriage and how it wasn't okay, but I kept telling myself it was fine because I didn't want to see the truth, because the truth meant I had to change and my situation had to change. And
it's scary.
It's scary. It is so scary. But then when the change happens, you look back and go, what was I so afraid of?
Yeah. But in essence, we all need to be ready to be able to make that change happen. And before, when karmic cycles were working for us and we were getting, you know, to that point in the relationship where the karma had ended, and then all of a sudden we wake up and go, well, I don't need to be here anymore, you know. And you look at the person next to you and you go, I don't even know who you are anymore. That kind of stuff is karmic, and it brings up the timing, the divine timing, okay? But at the moment, what's happening is we're not allowed to hide from those things anymore. So we can't sort of go through that karmic cycle of, oh, I'll do it next time, I'll do it next time, I'll do it next time, right? So we can only put it off for so long. And this is where I suppose it's a ticket to ride, right? If you're willing to do the work, if you're willing to do the healing, if you're willing to face your truth and know what you want, it's not selfish to know what you want. You don't have to sacrifice your happiness for others. And this is the whole point, is that we've been taught, I think, for too long, that we should be the one that sacrifices ourselves for other people. And in essence, what you're doing there is you're not doing anyone else any favours, because you're going to be miserable. And then all the people around you that you love and care about will be miserable for you because you're not happy. So you really need to look at it from the inside out. You need to go, okay, what do I actually feel in this moment? And here's the trick, okay? I think a lot of people don't know how they feel anymore. I think they've been pushing things down for so long that they're okay with everything on the surface, that they actually don't know what they feel and they go numb.
This is so true. And when we think about what it is we want, a lot of people don't even know because they've been too busy helping other people with what they want, and therefore not having to make a decision around what the things that they want to do. And it ends up leaving you in a really numb place.
Absolutely. And I hear things from people all the time like, well, I've got responsibilities. I have got families to take care of. I've got parents to take care of, etc. And I completely and utterly understand all of those things. It doesn't stop you from actually starting to make plans for yourself and knowing your truth and knowing what you want. It doesn't stop you from starting to think in that way. And when you start to think in that way, you're going to start to open up the possibilities, and the universe will start to supply the situations that you need in order to make your happiness happen.
It is so true when you open up, because I think people will suggest the right book or the right podcast, Divine Style, no, or
Good plug.
or a person that you could meet or connect with, and those things do just end up getting put straight in front of you if you're open enough to actually see what's going on. I love that, that story about God help me, and the guy's in the ocean, and he's drowning, and a helicopter comes and he says, no, God will save me. And then the boat comes and he says, no, God's going to save me. And then another helicopter comes and throws a life raft, and he says, no, God's going to save me. And he ends up at Heaven's Gate after he dies and says, why didn't you save me? And he said, I sent 2 helicopters and a boat. But if we're not willing to be open to the fact that help is always provided,
Yes.
as soon as we ask.
Absolutely. And look, I think a lot of people forget to ask because we're trained pretty young to be, quiet. You know that old saying, don't speak until you're spoken to.
Seen and not heard.
Correct. All of those things. Luckily these days, I think modern parenting is wonderful, where, your kids are actually being able to express their needs and express themselves. I'd love to look at the statistics for tonsillitis now. I'd love to see how that's changed, because people say, oh, that's just because the medical fraternity have changed their mind about it. But when you look at it, the throat chakra, when it's blocked, will inflame. And so if kids aren't allowed to speak at home, if they're pushed down and they're not allowed to express their feelings, where is it going to go? It's going to go to the throat centre. And, I've actually known a few children in my life, little ones, that have been, let's just say, subdued by mum and dad. Don't talk, don't this, don't that. And they've had their tonsils out really young, right? So it's an interesting point.
It is a really interesting point. I mean, I know I was very close to getting my tonsils out, and so I understand that I would swallow my words and not speak up. So it made complete sense to me that the tonsillitis is a direct reflection of that throat chakra area of not being able to speak up or speak your truth.
Yeah, look, your body's a great barometer, and I think that you've got to remember that it's going to show you where the blocks are, and it's going to show you what's going on. If you're getting bad stomach pains, if you're getting that churning in your gut all the time, that's stuff you just can't digest. Like, that's emotions that you can't swallow, literally. A lot of people say that when they feel really nervous and anxious, they want to throw up. That's the feelings they're trying to get out. Okay, so it's actually, it's really interesting, but you've got to know what those feelings are.
And not numb yourself to them.
Not numb yourself. What I want you guys out there to do for yourselves is start to journal. You need, in the morning when you wake up, you need to write down how you're feeling when you wake up. During the day, when situations happen and emotions come up, we're not going to swallow those emotions. We're not going to push them down. We're going to think about, what am I feeling right now? I'm feeling angry. Okay, great. Let's write that down. At 10 o'clock, I felt angry. Okay. Why did you feel angry? What happened? What triggered you to feel that anger? Because this is when we're going to start to get to the bottom of things. And you'll find that it's always going to be a single thing that's underneath it all. And if you can actually go in and heal that thing, all the rest of it falls over like a domino.
It's so true, because we're never upset for the reason we think.
No.
Not on that surface level. Another thing when it comes to accessing your emotions and really understanding them, I know for myself, for years I buried them. I couldn't even name the emotion that I was feeling. I was that upset about. So this technique of journaling is really good. And if you can't think of the name of the emotion, think of maybe the color it is, or think of maybe the way you would describe it. I know even for my teenage daughter, the other day I said, how are you feeling? And she said, rah, rah, rah. So it wasn't quite angry, it wasn't quite upset, it was probably maybe frustrated, but she didn't have the word, so she just called it rah, rah, rah.
Yeah.
And I thought it's a great way to explain some emotions sometimes when we can't really get to those basic ones like sad or happy or angry, because there are so many emotions that we can feel, and they are triggered from when we're young, and we've buried them from that age. So when we feel them as we get older, we feel the whole years all built up into that one. So people wonder why they rage or wonder why they can't stop crying, because for the years we've buried it down.
I think too it's worth mentioning that, you know, we're pretty much programmed as well to be perfect. When you look at perfection in the magazines, perfection on the TV, you know, women particularly look at themselves with their love handles and all the rest of it, and they're not perfect in the way that we are meant to look, or someone's version of that. That can also go across to the fact that emotionally you're not perfect. Emotionally, you're not allowed to feel angry. You're not allowed to feel sad. You're not allowed to be a normal human being with all of those emotions. You have to subdue those emotions and be the perfect, happy, smiling, I'm fine today person. And that just doesn't value yourself at all.
No, and it's so unrealistic, because we can never, ever, ever be like that every single moment of every single day.
No. I think judging yourself is the big thing here. You know, underneath every emotion, there is always going to be a judgment on some level, either from yourself, from past, from parents, from people around you that you've grown up with, school people and you know, kids in the schoolyard. There's always going to be that judgment that's coming back to you. That is a lesson that I learned really young. I had to keep my mouth shut very young, because my mum used to say to me, don't tell anyone what you're seeing, because they'll be frightened of you. And I initially thought she was just overprotecting, but then as I was growing up and I was seeing things that other people didn't like, and I was saying what those things were, I was shunned and I was called names and that sort of thing. Even though I did save this person from a serious accident, and she was riding her bike on the road, and I said, stop. I screamed out, stop, to her, and a car came around the corner. This was when I was about 11 years old. Instead of thanking me for saving her life, she actually then told everyone else at the school that I was a freak. So, you know, these types of experiences when you're young, it imprints on you when you're older. And for a while there, I just thought, oh, this isn't a gift, this is a curse, you know, because everyone's going to think I'm crazy, everyone's going to think I'm weird. So from the age of about 11 to 15, I wanted to shut it out. I just wanted, not that I had a fat chance of that, but, you know, I just wanted to, like, stop it. And then when I was 15, I had a really big experience, and it was overwhelmingly big for me. The person I loved most in the world, which was my mum, I actually got a very strong flash of her in a car accident. And I rang her up and I said to her, you need to be so careful, because I see a car accident and I'm really, really scared for you, okay? Now, the next day, she was hit by a car at a stop sign. Someone went through a stop sign. It pushed her car through a fence and into somebody's yard and stopped meters from the house. And she had broken ribs. She was in a really bad way, but she was alive. And she said the reason that she was alive was because my warning was ringing in her head as she was going through that stop sign, and she slowed right down.
Oh, goosebumps.
And so from that moment, I thought, bugger the rest of them. If I'm going to be judged for something that can save somebody's life or make changes in people's lives that are profound, then so be it. And so this is where you've got to arrive, guys. You've got to love yourself for what you have. You've got to understand that whatever you've been given, it's been given to you by the great source, God, goddess, whoever you believe in. It's a God-given gift that you need to be using for yourselves. And this is part of the ascension. It means that we are all going to be aware. We are all going to be able to embrace our gifts. And we're going to use that to bring humanity into a much better place.
That's amazing. And even that story, I mean, this is really... for me, when I listen to that story, I just think of the resilience and to think about what you went through, and then to be able to learn again over those years, to be able to speak up again. That's an incredible gift. And then look at you now, speaking all over the world.
You just try and shut me up.
Oh, this has been amazing today. I would love to hear people's ascension experiences if they are going through.
Oh my gosh, there's so many of them out there. I'm getting messages and emails all the time about what's happening to people, and I just want to reassure everyone that it is part of the process, and that if they are really struggling with physical symptoms, then to be very kind to themselves. Some of those physical symptoms, as I mentioned, will be aches and pains. There'll be headaches, there'll be spinning, there'll be dizziness. Horribly dizzy yesterday. It was bad day yesterday. All of those things are very normal. But if they're worried, please go and see your doctor. Make sure you have all the appropriate checks. If they find nothing wrong with you, then guess what? You're ascending.
Thanks for listening to the Divine Style Podcast. Please follow, share, and tune in weekly for more spiritual and self-love guidance. You can find out more and ask questions at gerlinda.com.au and alisonmaiden.com.